a challenging time now for India and the Maldives. The relationship, which has historically been as close as it is now increasingly problematic. One would suggest that the word tension is appropriate at this stage. It's not something that's going to get over. This after the president of the Maldives, after his return from China, where he had a state visit, has now given a deadline for Indian soldiers deployed over there, and there are just a handful of them who are actually involved in servicing, maintaining helicopters which actually run medevac, medical evacuation flights, and assist the armed forces of the Maldives in any way. They've been given a deadline saying that they have to leave. Now, our ambassador has since met Maldivian representatives, their external affairs ministry, and there is an effort to try and ensure that the relationship gets back on an even keel, but it is problematic at this stage. I'm joined now by Jitendranath Mishra, former ambassador, and I'm joined by Dr. R.K. Radhakrishnan, who's been tracking the Maldives very closely. Ambassador Mishra, let me come to you first. How do you see the present situation between India and the Maldives, with the Maldives having given an ultimatum to Indian forces on the islands to leave?
Well, thank you very much, Vishnu, for inviting me on the show. Right now, the situation is at a crossroads, slightly critical, but still at a crossroads because it could go either way. Let's look at history. During the tenure of President Yemen, he also asked Indian soldiers to leave. Let's not forget. But they didn't actually leave. They still remained.
All right, so we've lost that signal with you. We'll come back to you in a moment. Dr. Radhakrishnan, how do you sense, is it a crossroads now, India and the Maldives?
Absolutely. I think things have gone far too much because of the kind of bullying that Maldives perceives comes from the Indian side. Of course, Indian officials have nothing to do with it. The Prime Minister has nothing to do with it. None of the Indian ambassadors or anybody in authority has nothing to do with this. But unfortunately, it is some of the people that the Prime Minister himself follows have tried to bully the Maldives, tried to call the President Moizzu names. And this has played out very, very badly in Maldives. At the end of the day, I see a man whose ego is hurt reacting the way he does. And this happens exactly as he lands in China. And therein lies the problem. China rolls out the red carpet and 20 MOUs get signed, and we have absolutely no clue as to what these MOUs are, though they are broadly in infrastructure, strategic vision, and all of that. I think one of the first things that we have heard now, yesterday from the Foreign Minister, happens to be that some 30,000 units of housing is to be built in Male, in the new Male, the reclaimed part of it. I think India is being systematically cut out of Maldives as a result of what happened as part of a social media exchange, and I think it is deeply unfortunate. We need to reach out to Moizzu. We need to have a special envoy in place. We have had this earlier also during the GMR issue in 2012. I think from 2012 onwards, the amount of effort that was put in during both administrations, UPA and UPA2, and as well as the Modi government, has ensured that when Ibu Soli came to power in 2018, India had a very firm footing, and India helped Maldives in all its problems. We have to have a similar kind of envoy. We need a special dedicated envoy to Maldives. We need to pull this back for both countries. It is impossible for Maldivians to wish away India, because everything from onion to sand to stone to anything that you can think of goes from Trivandrum via barges to Maldives.
Sure. Ambassador Mishra, we've got your line up. Will you go ahead with your thoughts? What's the way out of this mess?
Well, first of all, temperatures have to calm on both sides. And it's very unfortunate, as I heard from my colleague on the panel, that there is so much of outpouring of emotion and vitriol on the social media, I would say, from both sides. And that becomes difficult for foreign ministries to manage beyond a point in today's age. But quiet diplomacy is the only way forward. There are mutual dependencies, and that's a way forward, because neither country can do without the other. And calls for boycotting Maldives tourism, I think they are uncalled for. They are very churlish. and very counterproductive, because Indians are employed in the Maldives, and 50 out of 60 flights going to the Maldives, Indian carriers to carrying tourists. So jobs are going to be lost for Indians, and it will harm India. Without any benefit. President Muizzu called for one position, and it was in a way forced by the social media vitriol in India. It's very, very unfortunate for the relationship, and I am sure that both the governments are very wise, and they will find a way forward, because India will remain the first responder either way, for good or for bad, and I hope never for bad, but for good,
Sure.
because of geography, and that's the reality. And I think the leadership in Maldives understands that very well.
All right, but I'd like to thank you both very much for joining us. But think about it, the Maldivian government giving a deadline to the handful of Indian forces who are still deployed on the island for medical evacuation operations on board advanced light helicopters, which we had actually gifted them. It is a sad reality of where the relationship between two of the closest allies seems to have gone right now. The China hand cannot be ignored at all.